let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right, well then let's move on now to our next story. Lainey, what is going on?
Okay, you've been hearing me talk about people popping off all over the place. And you know, at this point, it has now made the Wall Street Journal on multiple occasions. There are whole stories about people popping off at each other. We now have hospital systems. As I reported before, there's the problem with the FAA is saying that there's been this rapid increase in in-flight disturbances requiring FAA fines against passengers attacking other passengers, attacking flight attendants and crew. Cox Medical Center in Branson, Missouri is adding panic buttons to their employee badges because there have been so many attacks against them. I mean, this is right here from the Wall Street Journal. Adults are throwing tantrums in restaurants, planes, and at home. Blame the pandemic. And it's actually a fairly compassionate article about the mental health crisis. Not only are people under a lot of pressure, a lot of people who were previously getting mental health care are not getting it. And you know, we're not simply talking about people who have serious mental illness. These are people who might have depression or anxiety, not that they're not serious, but we're not talking about very grave conditions where people are usually out of control. And people have not been able to see their therapists. People have not been able to get appropriate mental health care. We've got this ongoing stress and confusion. And if there's one thing that can be said about this particular global health crisis, and I think that we all agree, no matter what our positions are on various aspects of it, it has not been managed very well. And there's been a failure, a complete failure, to take into consideration how it is affecting other people. But there's also the issue of just ongoing tension. People are in stores and there's social distancing, there are masking rules, and people have a lot of tension. When you have a bunch of tense people in one room, just one person gets upset, that can cause a chain reaction, and it's happening a lot. Now, we've got healthcare providers who are at risk, grave risk of being attacked. We have flight attendants who are being attacked, and we've been reporting a lot on retail stores about the fact that stores have given up in some cases with enforcing mask mandates because they cannot protect their workers. At this point, we've got multiple things going on, and people are wondering why people don't want to go and take jobs. Well, there's jobs, there's help wanted signs, because people are saying it's not worth it. They're saying that quite simply that it is not worth it. And this article in Retail Wire, which is an industry publication for retailers, you know, it's addressing a range of issues, including just tension. But this has been a problem that's been on the increase over the years. There's also been issues with organized shoplifting gangs that will actually go into a place in a mob, steal everything, and run out. Sometimes, in some cases, store employees getting injured in the process. And I think that people are just saying that enough's enough. We've got enough in the way of societal breakdown at this point that people don't want to take a job no matter how much they're being offered. In some cases, they're increasing the amount they're offering. They're offering, in some cases, free college tuition. They're offering benefits. All kinds of things, and it's not enough. People do not want to work with the public anymore because the public, doing so, is far more dangerous than it used to be.
Can I also just really quickly just jump in and make the point that, you know, we've been hearing on, like, you know, we've been covering so many stories on, like, NBC for, like, you know, in the past where, you know, they're like, oh, employers, how can we possibly tax these people or increase the minimum wage? It's really always about the minimum wage when this topic gets brought up. How can we do it? They'll simply collapse. They have no ability to fund that stuff except right now, where even though people aren't taking those jobs for all the reasons Lainey already pointed out, they can clearly make those wages happen. So I would like just everyone to remember, as we're covering a story like this, and as we continue to cover stories like these, to just tuck away in your mind for a different time in history when the arguments are on why you shouldn't get paid are different, that right now they were happy to increase wages because they knew that you were worth it. And even then, and it's like for that title for that article, you know, one reason that people might not want to work at your company, because if they're attacked and berated by a crazy customer, you yell at them when they try and complain about it. That might be something fundamentally wrong with your business model. Maybe these businesses should, I don't know, focus more on making their associates feel safe and secure, and like they have the ability to control a situation where someone out of control is involved, rather than that person that's abusing them is more valuable to the company than they are.
So, if I can interject real quick, as someone who worked in retail, you know, I worked at Costco, which I think is probably the gold standard in regards to protecting its retail workers and providing benefits. A lot of these other large companies, look, you want to know how you get your employees to stay? It's when you treat them with respect. Now, when, of course, customers or members start attacking your employees, it's your job to protect them because they're the ones who are showing up to work for your company. They're protecting your brand, your label. They're there to work there and get a paycheck. But for a long time, a lot of retail workers have been treated like crap. And now what? Now they're receiving the rage from customers because things are not going well for them. Look, everyone right now is struggling right now, and retail workers do deserve respect. But for a very long time, large corporations like Amazon or Walmart or Target or any of these other major corporations who, again, abuse their workers, don't give them benefits or anything else, in my opinion, I think it's long overdue for a lot of these workers to kind of just say, well, screw you. Why should we look after you when you've been abusing us for years? And when it comes time to protect us from crazy customers, I mean, let's face it, some of these customers do have mental issues, and they do need mental health. I mean, I wish we did have, you know, Medicare for all. But when it comes down to people have a breaking point. And when people reach that breaking point, why would anyone in their right mind want to return back to a job that's just going to treat them like crap? And of course, again, looking at the alternatives here in the United States, a lot of people are just looking at it and it's like, why should I be abused by management that doesn't care about me, at the same time to be abused by customers that really don't care about me? Why would anyone want to go back? So the thing is, corporations, you want to make sure you actually still remain profitable and actually, you know, people actually kind of respect you. It's when you start taking care of your workers again. Maybe that.
But I agree with all of that. I absolutely agree with that. But I'm also going to say, though, that if you're in a situation where there's an increased chance of a verbal, which can be very upsetting, confrontation, and then moving to a physical confrontation, even if you're making $20 an hour, or more, how do you feel about the risk of being punched in the head? Because a blow to the head, one head injury, as you say, one bad day, a head injury can have lasting impacts. And a person said, this is simply not worth it. And may decide, of course, to go into warehouse logistics, which is fine, or do something else. But it is a significant concern that people are not feeling safe in public. If they are on edge in public, what does this do not only for workers, but for anybody who is in these environments? Are we just going to stop going to stores? Ron Johnson, who was a former executive with Apple and Target, now thinks that the home has become a center of commerce. Yeah. You know, some stores are cutting their hours, and you know, hey, just be online, get stuff online. I know Walgreens in several areas downtown no longer have ATMs for people. And you know, because everybody's closing down early, and what happens to public life at that point when people are afraid to go out and be out and about? It's not good, and it represents a massive change in how we relate to each other.
Agreed.